This podcast is produced by the Gazelle International Owners Group. It is independent commentary that is not sponsored by Gazelle or otherwise monetized. The Gazelle International Owners Group on Facebook is a welcoming and supportive community of Gazelle owners and prospective owners. And now, enjoy today's deep dive.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the show engineered to cut through all the noise, distilling stacks of sources, articles, reviews, you name it, into the insights you can actually use.
Today, we are really focusing our lens on urban mobility, and specifically one piece of equipment that's sort of redefining what an accessible confidence-building machine can be.
And that would be the Gazelle Easyflow C7 e-bike.
Exactly. The 2024 through 2026 model. And our sources are all pointing to the fact that this isn't just another e-bike. It's more of a statement about the future of cycling for everyone.
For everyone, regardless of age or physical ability.
That's the key.
Okay, so let's unpack that. We've got a ton of material here, deep engineering specs, the brand's history, and a really clear, almost philosophical take on rider safety.
Right.
So our mission for this deep dive is, well, it's very specific. We have to go beyond just listing features. We need to get at what makes this thing a radically inclusive ride. That's a direct quote from the designers.
It is. And we need to analyze why this combination of features makes it a premium option, especially when the market is just, flooded with budget bikes.
Exactly. So how did Gazelle engineer this bike to be a, quote, safety net?
That's the question.
Yeah.
We need to understand the design choices, from the weird geometry all the way to the components and how they build that independence for, new cyclists, seniors, people coming back from an injury.
Right, the people who might otherwise think cycling is just too intimidating for them.
Or too high risk. We're definitely going to spend a good chunk of time on the geometry in that pedelec system because that's where the real innovation is.
Okay, so before we get into the wild geometry that lets you put your feet flat on the ground, which we will, we have to set the stage, we need to talk about who Gazelle is.
We absolutely do.
Because when you see that price tag, $3,999 for a Class 1 e-bike.
Almost $4,000.
Right. The immediate comparison, especially in North America, is going to be those direct-to-consumer bikes that are half the price. We need to explain why this brand can command that kind of premium.
That is critical context. Gazelle's heritage isn't about speed or racing. It's about utility. It's about longevity.
How long are we talking?
We're talking over 130 years. Since 1892. This is a company rooted in Dutch cycling culture, where a bike is it's how you get around. It's not a toy for the weekend.
That's transportation.
Pure transportation. And they're not small. They're building over 1,300 e-bikes every single day in the Netherlands, and they have over 2 million riders worldwide. This isn't just volume. It's a legacy of just constantly improving based on real-world use.
130 years. So they were making bikes before most people even had cars. That legacy has to translate into a very specific brand commitment, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Their whole engineering philosophy is about quality, longevity, and comfort. They're not chasing the fastest motor or the lowest price.
Not at all.
They're engineering for the everyday, for practical use. So when a company like that designs something new, it's always this careful refinement of what they already know works for the average person.
And that's where the Easyflow C7 fits in.
That's its entire purpose.
Okay, so given that long history, is this bike just a kind of refreshed version of an old Gazelle step-through?
No. And the sources are really, really clear on this point. It is an entirely new design.
Not a revamp.
Not a revamp at all. It was purpose-built from the ground up around maximizing comfort, minimizing stress, and achieving what they call unmatched accessibility.
And it's their premium answer for the rider who values confidence over everything else.
Precisely. Its position as a premium Class 1 e-bike, so pedal assist, up to 20 miles per hour at that $4,000 price point is a very deliberate statement to the market.
Okay, I have to push back on that price right away. For someone listening and thinking about this, why should they choose a $4,000 bike built for comfort and low speed over a, say, $1,500 direct-to-consumer model that has a bigger motor, a higher top speed, and a throttle?
And that's the crucial question, right?
Hey.
And Gazelle's answer is, in the warranty and the components, you are paying for engineered certainty.
Certainty.
Yes. A budget e-bike is often all about the specs on paper, the wattage, the speed. But they often cut corners on the frame, the welds, the electronics, the long-term durability of the parts.
Things you don't notice until 6 months later.
Exactly. Gazelle's commitment is to refinement and reliability. so they can offer a 10-year warranty on the frame.
10 years.
10 years. And the 2-year warranty on the electrical components.
Yeah.
That level of backing and having it delivered through an actual dealer network you can walk into.
That's a huge contrast to the online-only brand.
A massive contrast.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with a customer service email. You're dealing with a person.
So the $4,000 is an investment in that Dutch craftsmanship and a guaranteed support system, which for a senior rider or a daily commuter, that's just peace of mind.
It's peace of mind, and it's probably a lower long-term cost of ownership when you factor in repairs.
That makes sense.
And the press releases were explicit about this. They said while, market buzz centers on budget e-bikes with throttles, Gazelle is standing firm on a product where reliability and control are prioritized over raw power.
You're buying a bike built to last a decade, not just a summer.
That's the idea, exactly.
Okay, so if the brand is the foundation, then the geometry of this bike is the revolutionary part. The feature Gazelle really hangs its hat on is this feet flat on the ground stability.
Right.
Now, from an engineering perspective, that sounds simple. But creating that ability while keeping a proper pedaling posture is, well, it's really, really hard.
It is. Most cruiser bikes that let you put your feet down, they do it by wrecking your pedaling efficiency. Your knees end up almost in your chin.
You're just kind of churning.
You're churning, and it's terrible for your joints. And that is the absolute crux of the innovation here. Gazelle figured out how to do flat foot geometry without that typical crouch.
How? What did they do?
They solved it by blending 3 specific choices: a really unique pedal-forward design, an extra wide and low step-through frame, and a very deliberate upright riding posture.
Okay, let's break down that feet flat geometry. How does this combination let a rider put both feet squarely on the ground when stopped, but still have an efficient posture when they're actually pedaling?
It all comes down to where the bottom bracket, that's where the pedal cranks attach, is positioned relative to the saddle.
Okay.
On a normal bike, if your seat is at the right height for pedaling, your toes can barely touch the ground. To get your feet flat, you have to drop the seat so low that your legs are all bent up when you pedal, which is just biomechanically awful.
Right, I've done that. It's not fun.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So Gazelle avoids that. They physically move the entire bottom bracket slightly forward of the seat tube, and they use a steeper seat tube angle than a typical cruiser.
So the distance from the saddle to the pedal stays efficient for your leg extension.
Exactly.
But because the pedals are slightly forward, when your foot is at the bottom of the stroke, it's also further out in front of you.
You've got it. It's like, think of sitting on a normal chair. To stand up, you have to tuck your feet under you. But with this bike, it's more like you're on a high stool. Your feet can just naturally drop down and forward.
Ah, yes.
So when you stop, that forward position lets your feet plant on the ground while your hips stay at an efficient height for riding. It's real functional geometry, not a gimmick.
And the immediate payoff for rider confidence has to be just immense.
It is the entire point of this bike. Our sources all said this geometry gets rid of a huge source of anxiety for that target demographic: seniors, new riders, people who haven't ridden a bike in decades.
The anxiety of wobbling to a stop at a traffic light?
But that's it. That moment of panic, especially on a heavy e-bike, it's just gone. You can plant both feet instantly, securely. That feature alone is a massive deal.
It really is a foundational safety net.
It is. And that flexibility also makes it accessible to a much wider range of people, right, in terms of height.
Right, so they can call it a one-size-fits-all bike and actually mean it.
Exactly. Because it reduces the required reach and standover height, it works for riders who might be, say, 5 feet tall, all the way up to over 6 feet, especially when you pair it with the adjustable parts we'll get to later.
Okay, so beyond that pedal-forward design, let's talk about the rest of the frame. It's an ultra-low, step-through, long wheelbase, and smaller 24-inch wheels.
Yes, and that whole structure is designed for maximum ease. The step-through is so low that reviewers called it among the easiest in the industry. For anyone with limited mobility, it's a game changer. You literally just step through the frame.
No swinging a leg over a high bar.
None of that. You just walk into the bike.
Okay, let's talk about those wheels, though. 24 inches. Paired with a long wheelbase, doesn't that make the ride harsher or maybe even twitchier if you hit a pothole compared to a standard 28-inch wheel?
That is a very fair question. And historically, smaller wheels could mean a rougher ride. But they've mitigated that in a couple of very clever ways.
How so?
First, the smaller wheels immediately give you a much lower center of gravity. That, combined with the long wheelbase, is the main source of its stability. The bike is just inherently more balanced and predictable. The reviews all say it's never twitchy, even at its top assisted speed.
And what about the potholes? How did they solve the harshness problem?
The tires. The bike rolls on these really substantial Schwalbe Big Bend Plus tires. They're 2.15 inches wide.
So they're big and cushy.
Exactly. They're high volume.
Yeah.
That big pocket of air acts as its own little suspension system. So while the wheel itself is smaller, the tire volume absorbs all those small bumps and road cracks, keeping the ride smooth.
So it was a calculated trade-off. They prioritized stability and comfort over the maybe slight efficiency gain of a bigger, thinner wheel.
That's it, in a nutshell.
And finally, that upright riding position. That's classic Dutch utility.
Absolutely. It's pure ergonomic comfort.
Yeah.
It reduces all that strain on your wrists, your back, your shoulders, but there's a safety aspect too.
Better visibility.
Much better. You're sitting taller, you have a clearer line of sight over traffic. It just aligns perfectly with that whole rider first, safety first philosophy.
Okay, so once they solved the problem of stopping and mounting the bike safely, the next step is making sure you can start just as smoothly. So let's shift to the motor and the drivetrain. This thing uses a Shimano EP5 mid-drive system.
Right, and the choice of that Shimano EP5 mid-drive is central to the low-stress feel. It gives you 50 newton meters of torque, and it's rated at 250 watts. It's just a really reliable quality system that integrates perfectly with the bike.
And we mentioned it's a Class 1 e-bike. Let's just make sure everyone understands what that actually means.
Sure. Class 1 means 3 really important things for this bike's mission. 1, it's pedal assist only. There is absolutely no throttle.
None.
The motor only helps when you're actively pedaling. 2, the assist cuts out at 20 miles per hour. And 3, crucially, it uses a torque sensor.
Which is different from the cadence sensors on cheaper bikes.
Very different. A torque sensor measures how hard you're pushing on the pedals and gives you a proportional, smooth amount of power. It's not that jerky on or off feeling you can get from a cadence sensor.
Let's talk about that torque. 50 newton meters. You see other bikes advertised with 75, even 190 meters. Why is 50 the right choice for this bike?
It's all about that low-stress philosophy. A motor with 75 or more newton meters can be really aggressive, which is great for hauling cargo up a steep hill, but it can also be overwhelming for a new rider.
That sudden kick of power.
Exactly. 50 newton meters is enough to handle rolling terrain and moderate hills. Better than expected is what one review said. It gives you enough power to feel supported, but the delivery is gentle and predictable.
It's confidence through control, not overwhelming power.
You've got it. The whole assessment is that the motor is smooth and quiet. And since it's a mid-drive, it's more efficient on hills because it uses the bike's own gears. It just feels like a more powerful version of you.
Okay, so what about the battery and the range? What's powering this system?
It's a reliable Shimano 504 watt-hour battery. It's integrated into the frame, but it's also removable, which is great for easy charging, and has smart battery management for consistent power.
And for a utility rider, range is probably more important than top speed. What does the real-world testing say?
The range is excellent for daily use. One reviewer logged about 20 miles on a single charge with pretty high assist and still had 2 battery bars left.
So you could realistically expect 30, maybe 40 miles pretty easily.
Easily, depending on the terrain and how much help you're using. It's more than enough for errands and short commutes. It really is a dependable daily driver.
And this all just reinforces that mission: reliability, stress-free operation. Which brings us to the drivetrain itself, a Shimano Nexus 7-speed internal hub gear.
Or IGH. Yes, and this is another critical choice for the utility rider.
Why is that?
Because it's all about low maintenance. For a daily commuter, especially in a city or somewhere with bad weather, the biggest headache with a normal bike is keeping that derailleur clean and adjusted.
The greasy chain, the clicking gears.
All of that. The IGH solves it. The entire gear mechanism, all 7 speeds, is sealed inside the hub of the rear wheel.
So it's protected from everything.
From dirt, water, salt, weather. It's a sealed, robust system. You don't have a fragile derailleur hanging off the back that can get knocked around.
But these systems work a little differently than a normal derailleur, don't they? There's a bit of a learning curve.
There is, and it's an important detail. The sources mention that, like most internal hubs, this one prefers a momentary pause in pedaling when you shift.
So you have to stop pedaling for a split second. Why is that?
With a derailleur, you have to keep pedaling for the chain to move. With an IGH, the mechanism is internal and under a lot of pressure when you pedal hard. So you need to just ease up for a half second to let the internal parts shift cleanly.
So if you try to shift while you're really cranking on the pedals, it might grind or resist.
It might. It's a little habit you learn pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but it's the trade-off, right?
Right. You trade that ability to shift under full power for the huge benefit of low maintenance and reliability.
Exactly. For someone who just wants to hop on and ride without thinking about adjustments, it's a massive win.
Okay, so moving on from the core mechanics, Gazelle has packed this bike with features just for comfort and utility. And for a one-size-fits-all bike, getting the ergonomics right is everything. Let's start with the Gazelle switch stem.
The switch stem is their patented adjustable stem, and it's a brilliant piece of accessibility engineering. It's what really makes that one-size-fits-all claim actually work.
So how easy is it to adjust? Is this something you need to take to the shop?
No, it's designed for the rider. It uses a quick release lever or sometimes a single bolt, so you can adjust it with minimal effort. You can really fine-tune the handlebar position.
So you can go from a more forward posture to that classic upright Dutch bike stance?
Or anywhere in between. That's what the sources said, really in any position you like. And that's key, because it lets you dial in the fit to take pressure off your wrists, your back. Critical for seniors or people with orthopedic issues.
And what about the other touch points? The saddle, the tires?
Every point of contact is chosen for comfort. It has a wide Cell Royal Linagel saddle, so it's supportive without being too mushy. And we already mentioned those big Schwalbe tires. Their main job is just to soak up vibrations that cause fatigue.
It's a whole system designed for a smooth ride. Now let's get into the integrated safety and utility, the stuff that means you don't have to go buy a bunch of accessories.
Right, Gazelle gives you the whole 9 yards right off the showroom floor. Safety starts with the lights. They're integrated LEDs, front and rear, powered by the main battery.
And the front light is pretty powerful.
It is. It's their Fender Vision Light, 70 lux, and it has a daytime running light feature, which is huge for visibility.
Mm-hmm.
The rear light is sleek, but has these side cutouts so you're visible from 360 degrees.
Okay, let's talk about the brakes. Hydraulic rim brakes. In a world where disc brakes are on almost every premium e-bike, why stick with hydraulic rim brakes?
This is another one of those very intentional choices for the target rider. Hydraulic rim brakes give you extremely controlled, predictable stopping power. And crucially, they require way less hand strength to operate than old-school mechanical brakes.
So for someone with arthritis or just reduced grip strength, they're easier to use.
Much easier. They ensure you have reliable stopping power without having to squeeze with all your might.
And what about compared to disc brakes?
Well, disc brakes do have slightly better stopping power in really bad weather, like heavy rain. But they're also more complex to maintain. Hydraulic rim brakes are robust, easy to service, and provide more than enough stopping power for a 20-mile-per-hour utility bike. It just fits the whole low-maintenance philosophy.
Okay, and what about for the commuter? Carrying capacity, security.
The bike is fully kitted out. It comes with a robust rear rack that has the MIX system. It stands for Modular Integrated Key System. It's basically a secure platform that lets you click compatible baskets or bags on and off really easily, and it's rated for up to 59 pounds, so plenty for groceries.
And that key system means your stuff doesn't rattle off or get easily stolen.
Exactly. You also get full fenders, which are non-negotiable for a Dutch utility bike. And it has a built-in side mirror for traffic awareness, plus an integrated AXA frame lock for quick stops.
So you can just lock the rear wheel instantly.
Just click it and go.
That is a very comprehensive package. And finally, having this available through a dealer network is a pretty big advantage these days.
For a bike that's all about personalized comfort, being able to do a test ride is vital. You can actually sit on it, adjust that switch stem, feel that feet-flat stability for yourself. And that network provides the long-term service and warranty support you need for an investment like this.
All right, so we spent a lot of time on the parts and the geometry, but it all comes back to that core mission. Safety and accessibility for a very specific rider.
It does. Let's just summarize that audience again. It's new cyclists, seniors, people with limited mobility, anyone coming back from an injury.
Or just anyone who values a stable, confidence-building ride over raw performance.
Right. The bike is designed to break down the barriers, balance, weight, sudden acceleration that keep those people from cycling.
And that safety net philosophy is really crystallized in one major choice. Making this bike strictly pedalec, pedal assist only, no throttle.
This is the most crucial distinction. It sets Gazelle completely apart from so many of the direct-to-consumer bikes in the U.S. market, which almost always include a throttle.
And Gazelle is doing this deliberately to mitigate known risks, especially for their target demographic.
Very deliberately. And our sources have some Some pretty alarming data on the safety of throttled e-bikes for this population. This is where an engineering choice becomes a life safety choice.
Okay, so what should listeners know about these documented risks?
Well, the data on throttle-related accidents among seniors it's stark. Throttles are designed to deliver instant power, a sudden kick of speed, whether the rider is ready for it or not.
Which can lead to what they call a hot start.
A hot start, exactly, where the throttle gets bumped accidentally while you're parking or turning, and the bike just lurches forward unexpectedly.
And if you're a senior rider or someone with slower reaction times, that sudden torque could easily cause you to lose control.
Easily. It can surprise you, overwhelm you, especially in a tight space like a garage or a busy intersection. This unintended acceleration is a major documented cause of serious accidents.
And the data actually backs this up, specifically for the 65-plus demographic.
It does. U.S. emergency departments report significantly higher hospitalization rates for throttle-related crashes among riders over 65 compared to those riding pedal assist-only bikes.
So it's not a small difference.
Not at all. It reflects the fact that the unexpected power from a throttle is a real mechanical risk for people whose balance or reaction times might be a little diminished. Taking the throttle away is a direct, safety-driven response.
So this brings us to what you're calling the pedelec advantage. Why is requiring the rider to pedal both safer and healthier for this group?
The benefits are huge. First, there's control. Because the motor on the Easyflow uses that torque sensor, it only activates after you start pedaling, and the power it delivers is smooth and proportional to your effort.
It's like a dimmer switch, not an on-off switch.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It builds confidence and completely eliminates that element of surprise.
Okay, but let's address the elephant in the room. A lot of people hear e-bike and think, well, that's just cheating. It's not real exercise.
And that idea has been completely debunked by exercise science. Riding a pedelec is legitimate, low-impact exercise. And for this group, it's often more beneficial than traditional cycling.
How so?
Because pedelecs let you manage your exertion level precisely. You can adjust the assist to stay in that optimal heart rate zone for cardio health without the risk of overexerting yourself on a hill or into a headwind.
So instead of being limited by joint pain or lung capacity, you can just focus on consistent movement.
Precisely. It's so much easier on your knees and hips than running or even walking. It's often prescribed for rehab after an injury because it's a manageable, controllable way to get active again. It lets you get the benefits of cycling while protecting your joints.
Okay, so beyond the physical benefits, let's talk about the mental and social benefits that come from this kind of inclusive design.
Well, extended mobility is a huge one. E-bikes just expand your world. For a senior who maybe gave up driving or feels stuck in their neighborhood, the Easyflow C7 lets them explore local parks, different parts of the city.
That sense of independence.
It's huge for mental stimulation, for combating cognitive decline, and just for personal satisfaction.
And the ability to participate socially is so critical for combating isolation.
This is one of the most powerful benefits. Pedelecs make it so much easier for people of different fitness levels to ride together. Someone with less stamina can use the assist to keep up with their fitter friends. No one gets left behind.
Which fosters that social interaction.
Exactly. It fights isolation, which is a critical part of mental well-being. At the end of the day, the goal of this bike is just to make cycling joyful again, to reduce the pressure and let people just enjoy the ride and the company.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, the Gazelle Easyflow C7 really emerges as a fascinating case study in intentional design. It's not about high power, it's all about high confidence.
Absolutely. It's a masterclass in comfort-first engineering. Its success isn't measured in speed, but in its ability to provide comfort, predictable control, and reliability.
And that revolutionary geometry, that feet-flat capability, that's the headline feature that makes cycling accessible again for so many people who found it too intimidating or risky. So the consensus from all the reviews is unanimous. This is not a bike for the speed demon. It's for the right rider, someone who values accessibility, low-maintenance utility, stability, and control above all else.
And at that $4,000 price point, you're paying for the integrated design, the Dutch craftsmanship, and that explicit commitment to safety and long-term use, backed by a real warranty and dealer support.
It's an investment in independent mobility.
Exactly.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the learner. The design of the Easyflow C7. It's geometry, its strict adherence to the pedelec standard. It all points to a much bigger concept, mobility equity.
Yeah, think about the societal implications here. If one single e-bike model, just through intentional design can bring cycling back to thousands of people.
Especially that fastest-growing demographic of e-bike users, seniors, and returning riders.
What kind of impact does that comfort-first engineering have on public health, on transportation culture as a whole?
We're asking you to think about the economic and health implications of making independent, active mobility truly accessible. When a company chooses to engineer out anxiety and engineering confidence, they're not just selling a bike.
No, they're supporting long-term independence, reducing our dependence on cars, and fostering community.
So what essential mobility challenges in your own community could be solved if we just shifted the focus of design away from performance and toward radical accessibility and absolute confidence?
That's the foundational challenge that the Gazelle Easyflow C7 really, truly, and successfully addresses.
The Herd podcast has been produced by the Gazelle International Owners Group. Gary Fujioka Sr., Editor. For additional information, join the Gazelle International Owners Group on Facebook. You may also visit Gazelle Bikes website at gazellebikes.com.